No King's America was born from that principle. We cast off a monarch and declared that we, the people, would govern ourselves. We pledged there would be no crown, no divine ruler, only the rule of law and the consent of the governed. Yet today, from sea to shining sea, we act as if we have forgotten this. We have split into warring tribes, each kneeling in its own way to false kings of the mind. Look around, one faction rallies behind a single figure, chanting his name as if it were a prayer. Another faction marches in the streets with equal fervor, convinced they alone stand between liberty and tyranny. We hurl insults and slogans at each other: fascist, traitor, snowflake, communist. Each side is utterly certain of its own righteousness, each convinced the other is the enemy of America. Our divide isn't just political, it's psychological. Fear and uncertainty have warped how we see the world and each other. Uncertainty scares us, so we cling to the comfort of absolute conviction. Threats, real or imagined, make us desperate for protectors and quick to find enemies. In the process, we've lost something essential: our ability to think clearly and empathize deeply across our differences. This is a wake-up call. No kings means rejecting not only literal monarchs, but also the mental tyrants that have taken hold of us. Our tribal loyalties, our cognitive biases, our craving for simple answers. It's time to confront boldly and honestly the psychological forces driving us apart. Now, this will not be gentle. It will be uncomfortable and provocative. But it will also be compassionate, because we are all human and we've all been caught up in this. So take a breath and dare to look in the mirror. Both sides need to hear some hard truths without pandering, without excuses. To the true believer. You there with the red hat and the fervent gaze? Yes, I'm talking to you, the one who cheers at the rallies and proudly clings to a leader you believe speaks for you. I see the passion in your eyes. I see the anger and the fear too. You feel disrespected by distant elites who sneer at your values. You've watched factories close, towns wither, and you worry that the country you love is changing beyond recognition. In a world that feels chaotic and uncertain, you grasp for something solid. Uncertainty aversion, that deep discomfort with not knowing where things are headed, has wrapped its coils around you. Then along came a man who gave you certainty. He points and says, there's the cause of your problem. He says, immigrants, the other party, the media, the deep state. He gives you someone to blame and promises to restore the order you crave. It feels like stepping out of a storm into a sanctuary. Finally, someone strong and certain, offering simple answers in confusing times. But friend, that sanctuary is built on sand. The strong man's certainty is a seductive illusion. It plays on a classic impulse, something authoritarian personality theory, identified long ago when we're afraid. Many of us feel drawn to a powerful leader who promises order. Be honest. You've started seeing your chosen leader not as a flawed politician, but almost as a savior. You echo his slogans, overlook his lies or failures, and reflexively defend him against any criticism. Ask yourself, why have you placed him on a pedestal, above the standards you'd hold any other leader to? In America, we were meant to have no kings. Yet here you are, treating a politician like a king in all but name. It's hard to hear, I know. But consider cognitive dissonance, the mental stress when facts contradict your beliefs. When your leader does something you once would have condemned, what do? Do you hold him accountable? Or do you excuse it and find a way to justify it? If you're honest, it's often the latter. You twist facts to fit your faith. That's cognitive dissonance at work, and it traps you deeper in loyalty. You call yourself a patriot. You love America, but loving your country isn't the same as worshipping a man. Patriotism is loyalty to principles, freedom, justice, equality, not loyalty to a personality. Look at the rallies. Flags wave, yes, but alongside them, emblazoned with one man's name. Some signs even call him the savior of the nation. Do you hear that, savior? That is hero worship, the language of kings and cults, not citizens of a republic. And in those crowds, something dangerous happens. Group psychology takes over. Surrounded by thousands who feel as you do, your passion swells. It's exhilarating to feel part of a sea of people, chanting in unison. But it can also become mob mentality. Maybe you felt it, the rush of chanting "lock her up," or jeering at a common enemy with the crowd. In those moments, the individual, you can disappear. The moral compass that guides you alone may get lost in the collective frenzy. January 6th was an extreme example. A crowd whipped into a frenzy by a lie stormed the Capitol, something most would never have done on their own. Good people can do ugly things when swept up by a furious crowd. Let's talk about tribalism. You've drawn a line on your side, the real Americans on the other. The enemies. It's comforting to split the world like this. Your tribe tells you that you are the patriots, and that those who disagree are un-American. Even evil listen to the words some use. For their political opponents, traitors, scum animals. The dehumanization has been fed to you bit by bit, year after year, by media and leaders stoking your grievances. When people feel under siege, empathy erodes fear, convinces you that extreme measures, even cruelty, are justified to protect your own. If you truly believe the other wants to destroy your way of life, how could you empathize with them? They stop being neighbors in your mind and become monsters, and once you accept that narrative, almost anything goes. Here's the truth. You have been manipulated. Powerful forces have played on your fears and hopes. Politicians hungry for power, media figures chasing ratings, conspiracy peddlers. They've all found it profitable to keep you enraged and loyal. They've sold you a story that you're a victim. And only by backing this one leader or movement will you get justice. It's a compelling story. And yes, there are grains of truth in it. You have been ignored and disrespected at times. But it's also a lie, because it demands that you put blind faith in one man and one party, and that you see fellow citizens who disagree as enemies to be vanquished. I'm not here to ridicule your pain or your pride. I understand why you're angry, why you're worried. What I'm asking is for you to wake up. America's greatness never came from one leader, and it won't be saved by one either. Our system was built on the idea that no leader is above the law, or beyond question dissent is not treason. It's our duty and fear. Constant fear of the other is the real threat to freedom. When fear rules, we're easily ruled. When we idolize a leader as a savior, we surrender the very power that makes us free citizens. So step back and look at what's happening to you. Is your loyalty to this man or party stronger than your loyalty to the truth? Are you dismissing every criticism as fake, every inconvenient fact as bias? Without examining it, that's a sign. That part of your mind has been taken captive. Patriotism isn't chanting a name. It's defending the ideals behind the name. If a leader betrays those ideals, it's your job to call it out. Remember, you are not a subject and he is not a king. You are a citizen of a republic. Act like it. To the righteous resistor. Now to the other side, the self-styled resistance. You march for justice and equality. You speak out against lies and authoritarianism. You believe you're fighting for the very soul of America. And in many ways there is nobility in that fight. But here's a hard question. Has your fight for what's right made you think you're always right? Because you are human and you are not immune to bias. Identity-based cognition grips you too. You've wrapped your politics into your identity. I'm one of the good guys on the right side of history. It feels good, even earned, but it can blind you. When your ideology becomes your identity, any challenge to your views can feel like a personal attack, so you dismiss it out of hand. Be honest. Have you ignored problems on your side? Because admitting them would give ammunition to the other. If yes, that's cognitive dissonance in action. The same trap, just with a different jersey. Admitting fault is hard for everyone. And let's address something else. You stand for empathy and tolerance. Excellent. But do you extend empathy to those who aren't in your camp? It's easy to feel compassion for the marginalized groups you advocate for. Harder to feel it for, say, a rural conservative who fervently disagrees with you? Do you find yourself assuming they must be hateful stupid? If so, you've dehumanized them in your mind, nearly as much as they may have done to you. That's what happens when any of us feel under threat. Our empathy for the other dries up. Your cause is just, but that doesn't mean everyone who disagrees is a monster. When someone on the opposite side slips up, do you dogpile with glee, eager to see them cancelled and punished? That rush isn't justice. It's vengeance cloaked in self-righteousness. Tribalism isn't only on the right. It thrives on the left, too, whispering we're enlightened. They're deplorable in shutting down any nuance. Even in your movement, the crowd's energy can inflame. Sometimes protests for righteous causes turn chaotic. If demonstrations on your side become destructive, do you condemn the violence or excuse it as inevitable anger? If you start justifying violence or silencing speech when your side does it, step back. Principles matter only if they apply across the board. Don't misunderstand me. Your anger at injustice is valid, and your fear for the country's future is valid too. But just as the other side's fear can mislead them, your fear and anger can mislead you. They can lead you to cut off friends and family who disagree, to assume the worst about people you've never met, to live in an echo chamber where everyone nods along with you. That's not a path to progress. It's just another kind of blindness. You've also been manipulated, perhaps by different actors, but manipulated nonetheless. Partisan news highlights only the worst of the other side. Social media algorithms feed you outrage, tailored to confirm your beliefs. Politicians on your side frame every election as an apocalypse. If they lose, all of it keeps you in a constant state of high alert, but permanent outrage can become its own false reality. So I challenge you to live your values fully. If you champion compassion, extend it even to those you consider adversaries. If you believe in equality, then recognize that even those on the other side are not irredeemable. They are human beings who need educating or persuading, not unthinking beasts to be defeated. Yes, but also listen, not to change your convictions, but to understand the person behind the opposing view. You might be the first person to ever offer them that respect, and it could make a difference. Resist, but don't just resist them. Resist the temptation to become smug, to assume moral superiority at all times. A democracy needs your passion and your vigilance, but it also needs your humility. Save your country, yes, but remember, it's not your country alone. It's theirs too. We all have to live here together. The psychological mirror. Take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Two camps, red and blue, staring each other down across a chasm, yet both camps are made up of Americans, and both are driven by surprisingly similar psychological forces. Both sides worry about the future, feel threatened, feel wrong. Both have leaders telling them that the other side is to blame for everything. Each accuses the other of being brainwashed or hateful, while each side struggles to see those traits in itself. The same human tendencies are at work on both sides. Uncertainty, aversion makes both crave clear answers and authority. In chaos, identity-driven thinking leads both to reject facts that don't fit their narrative. Tribal loyalty makes both excuse their own side's wrongs while magnifying the others. And fear of loss and change drives both into defensive aggression. These forces don't care about left or right. They're universal, meanwhile. Who benefits from this endless fight? Not you. The beneficiaries are the powerful and the profiteers. When we're busy hating each other, we aren't holding our leaders accountable. For their failures, we don't notice as rights eroded. Divide and conquer is an age-old strategy, and we are serving ourselves up on a platter, not because we want to, but because we've let ourselves be consumed by this false war between us. I know it's easy to despair, to throw up your hands and say, "What's the point? They'll never change." But that despair is dangerous. It leads to learned helplessness on a national scale, a mindset that tells us we have no power. So why even try? And when people feel powerless, they either disengage or they radicalize, neither of which helps We have to reject that hopelessness. We have to remember that we're not just passengers on this ship. We are the crew. No kings, only citizens. So, what is the way out? It starts in the mind and heart of each one of us. Willing to step back from the brink. Remember the principle, no kings. It means no one gets to own this country or dictate its truth but us together. It means no more treating politicians like messiahs and no more demonizing millions of our fellow citizens as if they were monsters. We have to take our power back. We do it with critical thinking, courage and empathy. 3 lights to guide us out of this darkness. Critical thinking to cut through lies and tribal narratives. Courage to call out our own side's misdeeds and to face the other side with an open mind. Empathy to see each other not as caricatures, but as human beings. Start with critical thinking. Question what you hear, especially when it perfectly confirms what you want to believe. The truth is often uncomfortable. Don't let anyone left or right do your thinking for you. Read broadly, listen to different perspectives. Fact-check the stories that make you angry. Before you react to them, your mind is your own. So guard it. Don't let it be colonized by propaganda or half-truths, no matter how comforting they might be next. Some encourage the courage to break away from the safety of your echo chamber, the courage to speak up when your own side is wrong, the courage to stay engaged in our democracy, even when it's frustrating. It's easier to just hurl insults or to retreat into cynicism than to do the hard work of fixing problems together. But the easy path leads nowhere good. We need bravery in everyday citizens, the bravery to seek common ground, to admit uncertainty, to stand firm on core principles, without hating the person on the other side. And finally, we must revive our empathy. Without it, we will never hold this country together. You don't have to agree with someone to care about them. As a fellow American, try to imagine the world through the eyes of a person on the other side. Ask them why they feel the way they do, and actually listen to the answer. You may still disagree very strongly but you'll understand a little more. That understanding breeds respect. And respect allows a diverse nation to survive its disagreements. Empathy isn't weakness. It's what makes us strong enough to endure difference without breaking no kings. Also means holding our leaders accountable. Every single one of them. No more blank checks for politicians. Just because they wear your team's jersey, they owe us integrity and results. We don't owe them blind loyalty. If someone you voted for lies or overreaches, call them out if they fail us. Vote them out in this country. Leaders are meant to serve the people, not the other way around at the same time. Only citizens means remembering where the true power lies, with us, not just in the voting booth, but in our daily choices of how we treat each other and what we demand from our media and institutions. Each of us can choose to be an ambassador across the divide or another grenade thrower. That choice comes up every single day. Imagine stepping out of the bunker and not an enemy but a neighbor. We won't agree on everything we're not supposed to, but we can agree on how we'll conduct ourselves. We solve our problems through debate and compromise, not through slander and destruction. We treat facts with respect and lies with contempt. We give each other the benefit of the doubt that even in disagreement, most of us want what's best for our country. It's time to rekindle that spirit of unity. We will not survive if we remain at each other's throats. If we remember that no one is coming to save us from ourselves, no king, no hero, then we realize the responsibility and power lie with us. The ordinary people, no kings, only citizens, only us. Americans taking back the reins of our own minds, extending a hand to our fellow citizens, and refusing to let fear and hatred govern us. This is our republic if we can keep it, and we can keep it if we choose to stand together. No kings, only us.